So we'll start with Bangla sir. Second start with Bangla sir. पहला start with YouTube. ठीक है मेरे बाद रिपीट करना. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदा सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखावितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमामृतायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौराधुसे नमः. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगन्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांतो नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so the same thing is repeat. Will not repeat. Okay, so where were we? Where we completed from 1.1 to 1.9. मुझे लगता है मैं हिंदी बोल सकता हूँ. तब नहीं इंग्लिश. ठीक है, we'll go in between. So we completed 1.1 to 1.9. So what all things we saw? We saw the introduction. We are at the introduction section only of the chapter 1, where we saw preparation of war. In preparation of war, where Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay, like, now my party and Pandava's party are there in the battleground. So what they are doing? Huh. That's obvious answer, fight. But still he asked. Right, so you did not come, so I'll just repeat. Prabhuji, एक और हटा दीजिए. ठीक. So obviously, अगर they are at battleground, they'll be there to fight. Right. Then what's the use of that question? So the use of that question, I'll go quickly fast, right? Because he was still hopeful that because this is Dharm Kshetra, right? This the Kurukshetra was not Dharm Kshetra because of the battle, right? It was Dharm Kshetra even before time. There are a lot of history to it. We discussed that. We'll not go into again. Right? That's something related to all the Muni. They used to come to do some tapa. Parasuram, he did penance for his like atonement for killing all the Kshatriya 21 times. So that was already Dharm Kshetra. Hmm? So what he was what Dhritarashtra was thinking, because this is Dharm Kshetra and my sons are not really good people, they are not pious people, maybe that Dharm Kshetra, and you know, like every temple, every Dharm Kshetra has an effect, right? When we go to temple, we see there is an energy, right? So he was thinking like, or he was nervous that they will change their mind and they will say, okay, you take the kingdom, we'll go, right? And he did not want that. He wanted Duryodhan to become the king, right? Along with that, he was also thinking maybe Dharmkshetra will have effect on Pandavas and they will leave and chalo theek hai, will not kill because you are all my relative, you will not kill or will not have fight to you all, so they will leave. So that was, he was fearful because he knew his sons were like, they were not good people. So he was fearful ki it is Dharmkshetra, so the destiny is already written. So he knew. So that's why he asked, what is happening? Tell me, like, is there something changed or they are like the obvious thing, are they going to fight? Are they fighting? So that fight did not happen yet. And when he said my party, that shows he being a king and being guardian of all the Pandavas and Kauravas, right? He should not have said my party. That means he is partial to his sons and the Pandu's son. So that was the mentality of Dhritarashtra. Then in second, Sanjay says that he tells like what is happening and he uses the word King Duryodhan to give him some consolation. Ki he's already king, why do you worry? Because he understood what is the mood of Dhritarashtra that time. Then he starts explaining what is happening in the battlefield. Like, sorry, yes, what Duryodhan when Duryodhan goes to Dronacharya, and he says that ki this Pandav army is led by right now is son of Drupad. He did not use the word Drishtadyumna. He used the word son of Drupad because there was again history. Drupad and Dronacharya. They did not. They had a big history. We discussed it quite detail, right? So they did not like each other, and Drupad had a son who was specifically born for the purpose of killing Dronacharya. Knowing this, also, Dronacharya gave him the full knowledge, whatever he had, to son of Drupad. That's why he used the son of Drupad to invoke the emotions in him. Ki you are, this army is led by your enemy, the one who is going to be cause of your death. So that was 1.3. And it shows the Duryodhan's cunningness also, how cunning he was. Like to, for his own benefit, he can evoke the emotions, he can remind people about their old histories and all those things, right? So that was what we discussed. So 1.4 we discussed from 1.4, 1.5 and 1.6 we discussed all the Maharathi which are from the Pandava side. Then then after that, after describing Duryodhan is describing this all to um, Dronacharya. Right. Then after describing all these Maharathi from Pandava side, he from 1.7 he described, okay, now let me tell you about the great warriors from my side. So that was 1.7 and 1.8 like he tells about Bhishma, Karna, Kripacharya, Swathama, Vikard, a lot of people, a lot of generals from his side, and we were here 1.9. We are here 1.9 where he tells that they all are there who are who are ready to lay down, who are ready to die for my cause, right? To fight for me and die to my for my sake. So we are here, like they are Nana Sastra Prahan, like Nana Sastra Prahan means they are they are excellent in all the weapons and all kinds of this war kind of war knowledge and Sastra Vidya. Right, Sastra Vidya, Yuddha Vidya, they are all expert. And so he starts describing the people from his side. He ends with like others like Jayendra. We had a story of Jayendra, Kritavar, Shirley, who are their people. Right. So today we'll start with 1.10, 1.10. Okay. So the same pattern, like I will I will just recite, will repeat, and then one Prabhu ji and one Mata ji आप आज अकेले ही हैं, तो आज आप ही का turn है. Okay. Or maybe some Prabhu ji can accompany. So wait. अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं. कैसे बोले? ये बोले. अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं. Anyone from Prabhu's side?
अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं
अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं
बलं विरक्षितं
बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं
पर्याप्तं त्वदते
त्विदमेतेषां पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं. अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. So Duryodhana is continuing. So he says that after describing all the warriors from Pandava army and his army, all the warriors means all the important warriors, not all. There were 60 crore people, so he cannot describe everyone. Right. He comes to this that our strength is immeasurable, अपर्याप्तम. अपर्याप्तम के दो मीनिंग होते हैं. एक मीनिंग होता है अपर्याप्तम means it's not enough. When we say it is not enough, but here it is, does not mean. Paryapta means it's enough. Aparyaptam means something which is more than enough. Right. So it's not like it's not enough, not negative one, it's a positive one. Aparyaptam means limitless. It's immeasurable. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam means the army which is protected by Bhishma Pitama. Right. That is limitless. Then paryaptam tvidametesam balam bhima bhirakshitam. While on the other hand, there is an army, Pandava's army, which is protected by Bhim, right? That is limited. So there is a comparison he's doing between Bhishma and Bhim. Why Bhishma and Bhim? We discussed that. Bhishma is the strongest warrior apart from Krishna in the whole battleground. Bhishma Pitama was the strongest warrior. And we discussed why it was. I think we discussed, or we can discuss it again. Because we remember the story of Bhishma Pitama, right? He took the when his father wanted to marry uh, Santanu, when he wanted to marry the daughter of fisherman, right? And there was a condition which daughter, and actually the fisherman put that I want my grandson only to become the king. That was the condition he put. And his Santanu was very then disappointed, or he was like very sad, right? Thinking that he loved his Pitama so much. Well, not Pitama, that time he was with his name was Devbrat. Right. He loved Devbrat so much that he did not want, for his material sake, for his enjoyment sake, to um, let him go of the title of king, right? To remove him from the particular kingly position, right? So he said, okay, I'll not marry. But then he was always like, he was always like, he was not taking care of the kingdom properly. He was disturbed a little bit, thinking about that lady only, and then he came to Devrat came to know like what is happening. He finds out like this is the reason, and he goes and asks the hand for that fisherman's daughter for his father, and he takes the vow that he will never get married, right? So that this problem will never come. He will never get married, and he will not seek the kingdom. So these two vows he took, and so that this problem will not come. And this was a terrible vow. Bhisma means actually in Sanskrit it means terrible, right? It has a meaning, and that's where his name came Bhisma. Why terrible? It's a good thing if someone takes celibacy, but it's terrible because he was Kshatri, and the Kshatri is always in mode of passion, right? He's always like always ready to fight, ready to have wife. Like he's always by nature itself is in so much mode of passion that taking such a terrible vow where he has to control all his senses by practicing his celibacy, that was a terrible thing for a Kshatriya to do. And because it was such a terrible thing that all the Devata came and they gave the boon to Bhishma Pitamaha, because you have taken such a vow, you will be the strongest warrior. So his celibacy and boon from lot of Dev, right? He was the most powerful person. That was that was the reason that Duryodhan was so overconfident that because we have Bhishma Pitama, the greatest warrior on whole earth we have, right? So I cannot be defeated. It was his mentality. Now, what he did not think, what he did not know, he knew that Krishna is God. But what he did not uh, try to, or what he did not wanted to understand that he is a God, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. And there can no one, there can be no one who is greater than God. Think. We saw Bhagwan, we read like in basics of Bhagavad Gita, we read the word Bhagwan. Bhagwan means, so anyone remember? याद है? Bhagwan. Someone who possesses Bhag. Bhag क्या होता है? Opulence. Opulences means there are six opulences which Parashar Muni, the father of Vinvyas, described. So those six bhag or opulences are strength, renunciation, beauty, wealth. Um, there were two more. अभी याद नहीं आ रहा. ठीक है. Beauty, wealth, renunciation, knowledge, and huh? Sorry. Fame. Correct. Yes, that's something which always I forget. Fame. So why Bhagwan is called that? Because these three things are unlimitedly presented. Right. Whatever avatar you take, these three things will be there. And we also being part and parcel of God, we have these things, but in a very, very, very minute quantity. That's why someone who possesses all these opulences in unlimited quality, they are called Bhagwan. We don't know, like we just use the word Bhagwan, right? Like there is a Dhanvan who possesses Dhan. So Bhagwan who possesses Bhag. Bhag is those six things, right? So even though, like Duryodhan knew he is, God is a very, he knew he is some great personality, but he never thought he is a Bhagwan and he will be the greatest warrior. So Srila Prabhupada explains in a very beautiful manner. Okay, I'll take that one later in correct context. Right, about how Bhagwan being in army changes everything. Right. So that's what he was thinking, like because we have Bhishma Pitama, he is the biggest warrior, he's the strongest one, and they are protected by Bhim. They are just protected by Bhim, and Bhim is like even a little stronger than Duryodhan. He was also very strong, the strongest in the Pandava army, but they are just protected by Bhim. So he is no match in front of Bhim, Bhishma Pitama. That's why he was like, okay, we are the unconquerable. We can like Pandava army cannot be won over us. Right? That was his mentality. So Kaurava army aparyaptam, limitless, while Pandava army was paryaptam in his view. So we saw that the general Bhishma versus Bhima, right? Pandava army was protected by Bhim, the strongest warrior, while the Kaurava army was protected by Bhishma Pitama. And yeah, there was one more reason why he used even though Bhim was the strongest warrior from Pandava side, but also he was very envious of Bhim. We saw that Bhim took three pratigya, three vows he took. That one was one of the first one was like he will personally kill all the Kaurav, all the 100 Kaurav, right, by his own hand. And the second vow he took was that he will break the thigh of Duryodhana. Right, because he gave the vulgar gesture when Draupadi was disrobed. You come and sit on my thigh and you'll be saved. Right, so he took a vow that I will break this same thigh on which you are like doing this vulgar gesture. So Duryodhana was always envious of Bhima. And in childhood, like when you read Mahabharata, you'll see like Bhima was very mischievous kid. Right? He was very mischievous. So he was like because he was most strongest of all the Kauravas and Pandavas, he used to he used to do a lot of mischief from them, like beating them. उनको पेड़ पे चढ़ के पेड़ जाके, if they are on the tree, like he will go and shake the tree. Everyone will fall down, and they're like, क्या हो गया? ठीक है. So he was very mischievous, and because of that, they were like very envious of him. He's very strong, and then he does all kind of thing. We know, like in our family, there is some strong guy, or in our cousins, he always a bully. Right? And, आ जाओ बच्चों. I was not strong, but I was kind of that. मैं अपने सारे cousins को बहुत परेशान करता था. Right. But yeah, so there's always someone in our family who's a bully kind of thing. यार पाँव परेशान करने के लिए. So Bhima was like that. And because of that, they were very envious. And Duryodhana was always jealous of him. He's so strong and he does all kind of mischief with us. He always shows that I'm the strongest. You guys are not a match for me. So he was always envious. So that was one of the reasons he told Bhima's name. And then encouraging the army. Everyone knew Bhishma was the most strongest warrior there, right? Except the people who knew about Krishna. Everyone was thinking Bhishma is the strongest. So to encourage, he told, my army on our side is protected by Bhishma Pitama. Right? That was the reason why he told that. Now the battleground, like all the people who were listening, those people, like there are 64 crore people who took part in Mahabharata. So why 60? So there was one reason, like when he saw this army, Pandava army, he got a little surprised, like how come these guys don't have any kingdom, they don't have wealth, but still they have this big army. How come they got this big army? So that was all plan of Krishna, right? This army, it's called Mahabharat, not just Bharat. When we say Mahabharat, that's Bharat and beyond, right? So they all, when the it was inevitable that the battle will happen. When this was like a battle will go to just when it was inevitable that when the battle will go through. So they started gathering the army from all across the world. Right. So we read the story like uh, Duryodhan and Arjun. They went to from their own places. They went to Dwarka asking for help from Krishna. Right. When they reached in the home, Krishna was sleeping. Lord Krishna was sleeping. So Duryodhan sat on the side of his head, and Arjun sat on the being a devotee. He sat on the towards the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. When Krishna he woke up, he saw that Arjun first. So he told, okay, what do you like? What is the purpose of your coming? You want anything? So Duryodhana said, no, no, I came first. Duryodhana returned first. I came first, so you should tell me. He said, you were sitting there towards my head side. I saw Arjun first. Right. That is like, so he should be given the first, like he should be the one who should be asked first. And also being younger than you, it is his turn who should be like he should be asked first. So anyway, Arjuna being devotee of Krishna, he asked like, "What do you want? Do you want me or Narayani Sena?" We know the story. Like he asked for Krishna, right? And Duryodhana was happy. Okay, this is like bin mange murad milna, right? I didn't even ask for and I got it. That's why I came for. He was like, what foolish guy? What foolish guy? He did not ask for the army, right? Now this thing is also connected with this, right? What Duryodhan always think is the material point of view. numbers. That Narayani Sena is the crores of people, right? God's army. While Krishna is one person. Krishna is Krishna. So that's why he never thought that Krishna is a god and he is above his Pitama. Right? He never thought that. And Srila Prabhupada explains that very beautifully, that about this material thing and numbers and all. That all these are material assets, our wealth, our anything you take, our strength, right? All these things are like zeros. Hmm. You may have unlimited zeros, still it will be zero. You take one paper, start writing zero, 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 write 1 million times, still it will be zero. While Krishna is like one. When you have one in front of all those zeros, or even one in front of one zero itself, that is greater than 1 million zeros. Right? That's how Srila Prabhupada explains. Like Krishna is the one and all our material things are like zeros. So, even though the Kaurava had the bigger army, the biggest army, right? That was also World War, right? It did not happen only in 1914, the First World War. It happened before also, because Mahabharata. So even though Kauravas had bigger army, a lot bigger than Pandav Sena, right? But they did not have that one in mind. And Pandav having a smaller army, many zeros, but this was started with one. That's where they were always bigger than this. That's how Srila Prabhupada explained. The Krishna is the one. And same thing is in our life also. Whatever we accumulate, whatever we have in our life, all those material things, material possessions, those are all zeros. We don't take anything with. We don't take anything with us, right? We discuss that a lot of time. When we go back or when we die, the only thing we take is the God's name, the spiritual awakening, all those things with us. Not all these material opulences, whatever I can be Arabpati, I can be multi-billionaire. When I die, it's all zero. That's why it is zero. While what we take is the spirituality, what we have practiced all our life. That is the only thing we take with us. And when we go to next time, it does not start with zero. It starts with where we have finished. So that thing we have to remember. So yeah, going ahead. Next, so what happens after this? He tells that he understands that I have praised enough about Bhisma Pitama. What other people would be thinking? That's where he comes to next verse. So we'll recite it together. अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागवम अस्थिता यथा भागम अवस्थिता भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागम अवस्थिता भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि. Anyone from Police? Please.
आयनेन च सर्वेषु
अयनेषु च सर्वेषु
यदा भागं स्थितः
यथा भागम अवस्थिता
विरक्षस्तु
भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु
भवनः सर्व एव हि
भवन्तः सर्व एव हि. अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागम अवस्थिता भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि. The translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. So we discussed that Bhishma Pitama he praised enough, right? Bhishma Pitama, 2-3 times he praised. So he start like, because he was a great diplomat, Duryodhan. We saw that how cunningly he uses the terms. Every word had a meaning when he used it, like asking Dronacharya when he was talking to them, or when he was talking to anyone. Every word had a meaning. So here he used that. He understand that I have praised Pitama enough. Right, others will be feeling like, what about me? Oh, like, are we not good warriors? Are we not strong? So he tells them, all of you must support, give your full support to Bhishma, Pitama, grandfather Bhishma. Why? Because Bhishma Pitama is an old person, right? And you all are younger than him. He is an old person. We don't know how long he will, uh, like how much protection he needs. So you give him the protection from all your side, like all the. So when when war happened, it was not like कि today's guerrilla war कि लोग आते बम फोड़ के भाग जाते हैं. ठीक. मतलब आजकल तो ऐसा ही वॉर होता है, या तो ऊपर से गिरा देंगे या फिर आएंगे बम कहीं पे गाड़ी में कहीं कुछ भी बम लगाए चले गए. It was not like today's war. They were the war the war शास्त्र मतलब युद्ध शास्त्र, they were lot of scriptures written on that कि कैसे युद्ध को लड़ना है. They were view, क्षत्रिय व्यू रचते थे, जैसे we know about चक्र व्यू. There were lot of strategic positions, lot of strategic formulation which they used to make. Eagle shape, चक्र के shape में, right? And it had a lot of intricacies and complications कि कैसे enter करना है, कैसे निकलना है, कहाँ उनको फंसाना है, where they will be stuck, where they have to be stopped, right? So this was a great art how to fight a war, not just to win a war. So this position of everyone was there, and he told that all of you now be at your respective position because Bhishma Pitama is an old person, and you guys are also very strong and powerful warriors. So you be at your position and give your full support to Bhishma Pitama, right? So that anytime he needs support, there will be always people, and no one can attack Bhishma Pitama being an old person. Like everyone protects the Senapati, right? Any war, we protect the Senapati. They come, like everyone will be around them. First they will die, and then only they can reach to the main person or Senapati. So that's what he was trying to mention here. That you be at your respective position of phalanx of the army. At the view रचना जो होती है वहाँ पे आप मतलब you be there, and yes, provide the support to Bhishma Pitama. So in this, the same thing mentioned, Duryodhana uses a diplomatic way. So, like this was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man. So everyone must especially think of his protection from all the side. That way he is praising others also. That you all are so strong that only you can protect your side. The whole army cannot do anything if you are at your position. A diplomatic way of saying how you are very strong. And Dronacharya clearly felt that victory of Kuru's depended on the presence of Duryodhana. Sorry, like Bhishmadev. We discussed that how he was overconfident about Bhishmadev's presence in his army. And although he knew that two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandava, he opted that these generals would now completely give it up as they have done during the gathering performances. Very important point. First he praised Dronacharya. Then he started praising Bhishma Pitama very diplomatically because these two people had a lot of affection towards Pandav. The Dronacharya was guru of Pandav, right? And his favorite Shishya was Arjun. He was very affectionate for the Arjun and other Pandavas because they were very good students, right? And Bhishma Pitama always like being the righteous person. He was like always these are the pious people. So anyway, in our if we have like three sons, even though as a father, mother, we will not discriminate, but always if there is a one person is good, one son is good, another son is bad, always will favor naturally will favor the person who are good. So Bhishma Pitama was also like that. So he was always so this that way he was trying to say that you give up completely all your affection and love towards this. You are in my army, and everyone like should now fight together against the Pandavas. So support to Bhishmadev was that. Like very diplomatically, he is trying to do this. Then what happened? Like after this, everyone is now ready. And how there that time war used to happen by blowing of shank. We start we start our puja also by blowing of shank. So there, or yeah, abhi when we go to army and all, we would see that in army and all, anything, any preparation, any flag march start with the bigul. Anyone knows bigul? There's a trumpet kind of thing. Po, 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 something like that, which sound it makes. Right, that kind of, we start with that trumpet kind of thing. That's called bigul. Right. So it starts with all those things. That time it was Shankh. So Shankh was something, every Chhatri used to carry Shankh with them. At least generals, all the important warriors, the general, they used to carry Shankh with them. Because when the war will start, it will start with the Shankh Hmm. So now everything is over. The armies is described till we saw till 1.11 when we saw that it was the preparation of war, explaining all the Kaurav army, Pandav army, every general, and all those things. Right now, we are actually into the war, like the start of the war. How it happens? By blowing of conch. So that is Bhagavad Gita 1.2, which explains that. So we can repeat. तस्य सन् तस्य सञ्जन्यः यन्हर्षम् कुरु वृद्ध पितामह सिंहनादं विद्य विद्योच्चै शङ्खदग्धौ प्रतापवान् तस्य सञ्जयन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्ध पितामह सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चै शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्. Anyone from Professor side?
तस्य सञ्जयन्
तस्य सञ्जयन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्ध पितामह सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चै शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्. तस्य सञ्जयन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्ध पितामह विनद्योच्चै सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चै शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्. शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्. So translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Guru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. After anyone is praised so much, you feel happy, right? अगर माता जी आपको आज प्रेज करेगा, आपने आज बहुत अच्छा खा, आपने बहुत अच्छी खिचड़ी बनाई, will feel happy, right? It's natural. So after a lot of praising, Bhishma Pitama was also feeling very joyous and very encouraged and happy that I have been praised, I have been appreciated for my valor, my strength. So he was like, yes, now I am motivated to fight the war ferociously, valiantly. Right. So what he does, he takes off his conch shell, shank, and as like a roar of a lion. Why lion is called the king of the jungle? Any reason? You know?
because of its
How?
strongness,
He is strong, but even elephant is stronger than lion.
intelligent.
Intelligent lion, no. Elephant is more intelligent than lion. Lion is not intelligent.
Uh, no fear, without any fear.
You can say so. Yes, that is also one of the reason. But one of the main reason is like when lion roars in the jungle, all the animal run away from there. His roar is so strong, right? So powerful that when we hear when we hear the lion, so not in चिड़ियाघर वाला lion, वो तो शो के लिए होता है. But जंगल में जब lion roar करता है तो all animal आप देखेंगे सारे All the birds will start flying, monkeys will go here and there, all the deers and all will start running and all. Roar of a lion, that's what makes him king of the. And that roar comes from his nature, right? He's a very strong, no doubt, right? He's a very strong animal. Uh, his like one shot itself can kill a human easily, right? So he's very strong. But that roar that creates a fear in the heart of all the animals. That's why this is using an Adam Vinadhyachay, right? When Bhishmapitama blew his corns like a roar of a lion. So what happened? Two things happened there. One, like Duryodhan felt very happy. Yes, now he's ready. Now he's like with full energy. Now he'll fight. Now Bhishmapitama will fight with me. And why that feeling came? Because of that roar of a lion, the soldiers from Pandava army they started like shaking. So that was one of the reasons why the council were blown in those days during the war time, right? Because it shatters the heart of the enemy. They started feeling fearful. Hurry, it's a time. जब हम एग्जाम देने जाते हैं, when you go to exam, घड़ी after paper and all is given, when it's a time of exam, we're like, it's a time, right? Okay, now we start. That's a less fear. But think of like you are in war. It's almost certain you will die, right? And then there's a indication. Okay, start the war. What will happen? And when that indication is so strong, with Singhnath kind of roar of a lion, what will happen to the heart of the enemies, right? So ordinary soldiers, a lot of soldiers from Pandava army, they started like trembling by this roar of the Singhnath, Singhnadam, like this Sankhnath which happened like a roar of a lion. They started trembling, and it gave them Duryodhan very joy. Yes, now it begins, and they are all at my side. And that's what it's written like. Understand the inner meaning of heart of his grandson Duryodhan. He understood that he's very he's very nervous, and also he's still having the hesitation and doubt on our loyalty. Dronacharya and my loyalty, that even though we love Pandava so much, we are fighting on army. What if I am more affectionate to them and I'll not do as I should do? Right. Understanding this mentality, he did the Sankhnath like a roar of a lion. Right. So that now Duryodhan will also feel very confident and to cheer him, of course. Right. But there is one also hidden meaning. This is the this is one meaning. This is one meaning like saying that he did to give him joy, to give cheer him up. Right. But there is also one hidden meaning. And our Acharya say that Sank, who whose in whose hand Sank is generally there.
Sri Krishna.
Vishnu, Krishna, right. Right. That is a symbol of Vishnu. Hmm? So our Acharya says that by blowing that Sank that powerfully, he also indicated, not directly, but indirectly, someone who can understand. A lot of things we don't have to say, right? It's all in the background. So what he also wanted to say, even though I will fight with my all valor, with my all strength for your army, hmm, and I will not show any mercy towards Pandava, but still that will not be enough because they have the one. We are all zeros, right? So whatever we will do, the end result will be it's already defined because they have Krishna at their side. Hmm? So someone who can actually understand, they can understand like at that army in that way. That it is sunk, I'm blowing it over. They have Krishna at their side. That's a signs of victory. So from 11, actually those are nothing but signs of victory for point one. All the from 11 to 20, those verses are signs of victory. Like what were the signs of victory for Pandavas in that Mahabharat war? They were small, small signs. It is not very obvious when you read it, but the Acharya explains in that way. So indirectly he was saying that Duryodhana had, that he had no chance of victory in battle because the Supreme Lord Krishna was on the other side. but still it was his duty to conduct the fight, and no pains would be spared in that connection. Right. So symbolism of the concept. That's what it was explained by Srila Prabhupada. Then when Bhishma blows conch, like I told, we just listened, right? All the Kshatriyas, they used to carry their conch. It was not like only general will carry. And that was one of the important weapon also. Weapon means not for beating others or not for killing others. But that was one of the important things they have to carry in the war. To encourage the there are a lot of generals, right? Everyone had their army, everyone had their own team, right? To encourage them, they will all blow the concept. So that happens in the next verse. We'll see that. So we'll repeat. Tata sankhascha bheyascha padavanak gomukha sahasaivaभ्य hanyanta sa saptastu mulo bhavat ततः शंखाश्च भैर्यश्च पड़वानक गोमुखा सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त स सप्तस्तु मुलो भवत्. Anyone? No problem. That's okay. It can be repeated also. You have a lot of verses to cover. So tat sankhascha bhairyascha पड़वानक गोमुखा सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त स सप्तस्तु मुलो भवत्. Mataji. ततः शंखाश्च भैर्यश्च पड़वानक गोमुखा सैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त. Small part you take. हन्यन्त सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त शब्दस्तु मूलो भवत्. Okay. So translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. After that, the conch shell, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns all were suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. Right. So war was like a kind of festival that time. End result was not like a festival, but when Kshatri they used to go for war, it was kind of festival for them. We discussed that last time. A sportsman they always try to like okay, there's a match, I will go. Right. They always try to look for the opportunity to play. That was the nature of Kshatri also. They always try to find out, oh, if there is a war, I will go. They're always looking for the war. They're not like afraid of the blood and the war. So when they come with all those all those vadyantras, right? So it is mentioned here: drums, bugles, trumpets, horns, right? All those things will be there. And when Bhishma Pitama, the main general, he blew his conch, everyone started blowing their own vadyantra. Vadyantra, you understand, right? So everyone started blowing their conch, bugles, drums, right? So it was kind of festival. Everyone with full fear, dham 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 dham, nagada baj raha hai, theek hai, kuch ho raha hai. Then everyone are like, yes, it is time. So when we hear those songs, like any war kind of song, the Veer Ras wale song, you see the music are always the drum music, trumpet music, and all those things are there. And when we hear those songs, एक अपने मन में खुद ही it creates a natural imbibe in us, एक natural feeling ही आती है for that Veer Ras. Right. We can do it, but even though we are not going to war, but it create more adrenaline rush into us. Yes. मतलब गूज बम्स आ जाते हैं एक अच्छा वो आज तो लड़के रहेंगे that kind of feeling comes. So to encourage the whole army, everyone starts blowing their own vadiyantra, their own musical instrument, and in a ferocious manner. Right. That's what happened here. So next, what happens? That now the Kaurava army, they're like, we are ready. I We are ready now that we have indicated that we are ready. Now it's a turn of Pandava army. That they will start blowing their own conch shell and all those instruments. So that is explained. That is being explained here. So we will repeat. ततः श्वेते हर्ये युक्ते ततः श्वेतेर्हये युक्ते महति स्यन्दन महति स्यञ्जने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवाश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदं प्रदत्पुत ततः श्वेतेर्हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दन महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवाश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदत्पतुः
ततः श्वेतै हयैव
हर्ययुक्ते ततः श्वेतेर्हर्ययुक्ते
स्यन्दने स्थितौ
महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ
माधव पाण्डवश्चैव
माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव
दिव्यो शङ्खो प्रदत्मतु
दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदत्मतुः ततः श्वेतेर्हर्ययुक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदत्मतुः. Right. So, translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental concern. Very beautiful description here. Right. But before we go into detail for this, so any reason like why do I ask people like attendees or like you all to recite the verses? Any reason like why do you think I ask? That's one thing. We knowing our Shastra, we need to know how to pronounce. So I'm also learning with you all.
So feel like that.
We'll also feel like that. Okay.
two way to break the word formation.
To understand, like if someday we are saying in English how it is written, we'll understand how it is pronounced. Right? Any other reason? These are all things for us, right? What is the use of like reciting the Bhagavad Gita verses?
It's on the Lord Krishna's so it's like we are repeating the same words what Krishna has said once.
Yes. We are iterating the song of God, right? Bhagavad Gita. Okay, that's one thing. I'll tell you a story. Yesterday, that came up in our class also, right? So there were two people, and they did some bad karma. They became like a palm tree. Hmm. And there was another person also who also did some bad karma. So he was given a life of I completely forgot, but a very in a very जैसे विकृत life ऐसा होता है, right? Something which is not so good. So he was given a life of a person who is having a lot of deformities and all. So what happened? Like, sorry, there was a king and queen. They were not. All right, I think I completely forgot that story. I'll have to repeat it. I'll have to reread it. But in that, the crux of the story was. So what happens that the queen she asked or the lady she asked her husband who was given they both were given like they both did some bad karma so they both were given life together, but they were together, but not in so good way. So she asked a question like she asked a question. It like who Kim karma Kim mudha something like that, right? In a questionable way कि मैं कौन हूँ, what is the soul, who is the god, and something like हम क्या क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, like, and that was a very general question being the circumstance and what was happening before that. But this is also a verse of the half verse of Bhagavad Gita, right? So the question she asked that was actually became half of the verse of Bhagavad Gita, and she recited that. And what happened? Her sin was gone away, right? And she was like liberated. And those trees who were also listening, they've also got the good karma, and then they got next life in a better way. So reciting these verses, right? Reciting these verses has a lot of spiritual advancement for us. These vibrations, right? This is very important for us to know. Even though we are not perfect, right? We are not. We have left Sanskrit. We have left reading Sanskrit long years back, right? We can learn now, and when we recite that, the vibration, that sukriti we get, that's very powerful. So don't worry that we are not able to pronounce it very clearly. There is some problem. Don't worry. After few classes, we'll be able to read it perfectly. We'll be able to pronounce it perfectly, and those will give us the very good vibrations and sukriti from God itself. So that's this side topic, side discussion. Okay, why we should recite, right? And don't hesitate. No one is going to judge anyone, right? Like you are not judging me. We will also not judge each other. Okay. So back to 14th verse. Right. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses. Swet. Swet means white. Harye. Harye yukte. Right. Which are positioned with or which are बांधे हुए मतलब which are with the horses. Right. Swet horse से बंधे हुए. Hmm? And that is a beautiful description of that chariot. And why this chariot thing? That sounded their transcendental concept. We'll come to that. But this chariot, there's a backstory for it, right? When you see this chariot, the horse is not displayed, but when you see the chariot here, yes, in the photo also probably you can see, right? The horses are white, right? The chariot is golden. It looks so beautiful. So there's a backstory how Arjun got that chariot also. Right? Everything in the Bhagavad Gita has a backstory, and Bhagavad Gita you can connect with any scriptures in our Shastra, right? It takes up the stories from or we can discuss. We can take the stories from all the scriptures and we can put it there. It is always connected with one or a lot of scripture. So that story comes in Mahabharata that how Arjun got this chariot. So once upon a time, okay, very cliche to start a story. All right. So long back, like before the Mahabharata happened, and before this whole envy was always there, but before this all the war and fight happened. So what Dhritarashtra did, he gave 50-50% kingdom to 50% to Pandav, 50% to Kaurav. Hmm. And Kaurav were ruling from Hastinapur, and Pandavas were ruling from Indraprastha. So that 50-50% he gave. So once Krishna was visiting this Indraprastha, and Arjun was there. So Arjun said like he was visiting for some days to their place. So Arjun said like we have made a very beautiful place in on the bank of a river. Let's go there and have some like time, right? We'll go there. They were very good friend, like they were very intimate friend, Sakha. We discussed that how Bhagavad Gita should be understood because he was Sakha of Krishna. So they went to the bank and they were just simply having uh, the good time there. A lot of things, fruits and there was a kind of a small kingdom. जैसे होता है ना गर्मी हो गई तो we'll go to Shimla. Something like that was there. So they were just enjoying their time. So one day they were walking towards the jungle and they reached one place and they were just sitting there. It was a very beautiful atmosphere. The birds were chirping, and all those things are beautiful things were happening there. Then they saw one sadhu coming. One sadhu was coming from outside of jungle, and his whole body was golden color. His hairs were golden, his whole body was golden. He was very, the tej, the energies or the radiance he was having is very strong. They're like, who's that sadhu? Right. And that sadhu came, and that time, Chhatri, one very important thing which a Chhatri has to do. Like, they will always pay obeisances or respect to any sadhu or any brahmana who is coming to them. Right? So they pay obeisances and they said, like they did the him dandavat to that sadhu. They paid their obeisances, and then that sadhu tell, um, "Oh, two great people, right? I know who you two are. Matlab, I know you two, right? And I know you two as a greatest of the greatest warrior, right? And I'm the ferocious, hungry or always hungry sadhu, right? I have a great appetite, right? That's how we introduced them and him. So they said, like, okay, मतलब what can we give it to you? How can we pay? मतलब pay नहीं, मतलब pay तो ऐसे हो गया, but how can we pay our respect to you by giving some dakshina and all? So he told that I want to eat, but I'm not an ordinary hungry sadhu, right? I'm not like an ordinary sadhu. I want to eat, but I want to eat this whole forest. That forest was called uh, Bandhava or something like that. Khandava. That forest was called Khandava. Right. So they're like, why do you want to eat forest? There are a lot of animals and all those things. So he said, I want to eat forest, and there's a authorized. I'm authorized to do that by Lord Brahma, and there's a reason behind it. So he tells the story that there was a king. Um, I don't remember his name. There was a king, and he was performing some yajna for me, and he introduced himself that I am Agnidev, right? He's Agnidev himself. So it tells that there was one king who was performing yajna for me, and in yajna what we put? What all things we put in yajna? You remember? Very one important thing we put. Ghee. You directly come to ghee, right? So he actually he actually put the ghee more than it should. And we know when we put a lot of ghee, what happens?
Thirsty.
Huh?
More thirsty.
Right. Our stomach will upset. For some days will be more of the time here than more of the time inside than outside. Right. So he put more than a lot more ghee than what was required. And Agnidev, being Agnidev, he accepted all those ghee. But then he got his uh, क्या कहते हैं, his उधर uh, एक custom मतलब his stomach got upset, but not in our way, but he got some problem in like in his udar, right? And he was not like he was not feeling well. He was like very he was very sad and also like he was nervous. Not nervous. I am not getting the right word. What we can say for that? परेशान होने को ठीक है मतलब सब लोग समझ गए गेस राइट मतलब he was very परेशान like he was not feeling well so he reached out to Brahma ji and he said that this happened so it tells that okay so there is a forest called Khandava forest it has a lot of herbs and that herbs can actually cure your stomach so what you have to do you have to eat that for it and how Agni eats we know that
And precious.
yes right they eat like by eating the forest means they will burn the forest and they will eat it. So he comes to that forest to eat that. But then, whenever he tries to burn, there will be rainfall, and it always it always put down all his agni, right? So he was like found out what is the reason. So there was a Nag, we know Takshak, right? Takshak used to live in the Khandava forest, and Takshak was a very good friend of Indradev. So whenever Agnidev tries to burn the forest by for eating it, Indradev will put a lot of rain, and then this will the whole fire will be put off, right? So when he sees that two great warriors, Arjuna and Krishna, so he says that, "Ki I want to eat this forest, and that is the reason I am authorized by Brahma to eat this forest." So they said, "Okay." Um, You can eat the forest, but my problem is I have the Arjun says that I have the great weapons with me, but I don't have a bow to release. Right. So I do not have any bow to release. I don't have a chariot from where I can release those. So Agnidev said, okay, I can solve that problem. So he recalls or he remembers Varun Dev and he requests him to give a beautiful chariot to them with all the weapons. Why Varun Dev? Varun Dev is god of not rain. Rain is also, but mainly seas. Water actually, right? So rain is one part of that, but he's the god of seas. And there are a lot of weapons and chariots and a lot of things which are drowned in the sea. So there was already a lot of things available in the sea. So he requests Varun Dev to come and give one beautiful rath and with a lot of weapons to them. So Varun Dev said, okay. So he brings on the chariot of Somdev. Somdev we know, right? God of moon god. Som means moon, right? So he brings that chariot of Somdev. So this chariot, what he say, is the chariot of Somdev. Hmm. And that's why it is so beautiful. It is all embroidered with celestial jewels, not the jewels which we see, but celestial jewels from the heavenly planets. It is it is made of gold, like it has a great radiance. And those horses were from the Gandharva look. These all horses came from the Gandharva look, so that's why they're white and very beautiful horses, very strong horses. And one very specification, one very beautiful specification of the chariot, like it can travel with the speed of mind. It can travel with the speed of wind, not mind. With the speed of wind, like very fast chariot. So it has a good quality. So they get the chariot to cut short the story. That's how they got the chariot. And with the chariot, what they do, like they save all the animals first, and then they kill the jungle. Well, they protected the Agni of from like the rain of Indra, and then the whole jungle burned out. That's also like he was put aside, right? Not killed, but he was taken away, and then the whole jungle burned, and then his Udar Rog or something it's called, right? So that was cured. So that's how he got that beautiful chariot. So a lot of things. So these all verses like Swete Harye Swete Harye Yukte, right? And the translation says that ki the fortune. So all these signs are now coming up. This chariot is from the Somdev, given by the Varun Dev itself, and which belongs to Somdev, right? So these signs in every verse you will see there are some signs. So whenever Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there. Second, where in the second line you see Madhava, like Krishna is referred here as, or he is called here as Madhav. Madhav means Ma means no, that mother, right? Mother is also mother and Ma, not Ma. Okay. Ma means fortune. Right? Dhav means someone who possesses or husband. Right. So the goddess of fortune, the husband of goddess of fortune, Vishnu, Krishna. Right. So that's why he is called Madhav here. And so then Pandavas Cheva Divya Sankho Pradhan Batu. Very important. In the last verse, when you see that here, when Bhishma Pitama he blew the conch, it is not referred as Divyashank, transcendental concept. But here when it is mentioned about the Pandava, Krishna and Arjun's concept, it is referred as a Divyashankha, transcendental concepts. Why? Why is that? Any reason? Can you think of any reason? Well, you can say that Krishna Sankha belongs to God, so that's why it is transcendental. But then why Arjun Sankha? So there is also a story for that. So we'll see in the next verse. All right. So we'll see in the next verse. So verse 15. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya पौण्ड्रदद्मो महाशङ्खं भीमकर्म विकोदरः पाञ्चजन्यं हृषीकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जय पौण्ड्रं दद्मो महाशङ्खं भीमकर्म विकोदरः. Anyone from Prabhu's side?
पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो
पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जय पौण्ड्रं दद्मो महाशङ्खं भीमकर्म विकोदरः पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जय दद्मो महाशङ्खं पौण्ड्रं दद्मो महाशङ्खं भीमकर्म विकोदरः. So translation by Srimati Vedant Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjun blew his, the Devadatta. And Bhima, the ferocious eater and performers of Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. Right. So everyone's conch also had a name. Right. We'll see that next also. Yudhishthir, Nakul, Sahdev, their conch shell also had a name. Right. Those are transcendental concept. Why? We'll start with here. Lord Krishna is referred here as a Hrishikeshu. What is Hrishikeshu mean? Anyone knows? Hmm? Any guess?
The one who is praised by the rishis or sages.
Uh, no, it has another meaning actually. Not directly we're taking Rishi and Kesh, not like that. No, it has a meaning. So Rishikesh, Rishikesh or Rishi, that's called our senses. Right. Rishikesh means someone who is the controller or master of the senses. Right. And there's only one person who is actually master of all the senses, who can control his senses as well as the senses of every living or every dev or every living being. Right. That's why Krishna is called Rishikesh or Vishnu is called Rishikesh, because they are master of the senses. Right. And yeah, that is the reason it's called Rishikesh. So in Mahabharat war also, Arjun and all the senses of Arjun were also controlled by uh, Krishna, right? So he was Rishikesa. So that was the importance of Rishikesu. Now coming to the next Panchajanyam. Why there's also one story. So like all these, there are a lot of story in the same verse itself. Probably that would be the last we can cover today, right? So Panchajanyam, how Krishna got this particular concept. So first of all, we should know that we think that like Krishna comes, or that's how Krishna shows in his Leela that he came down to earth and then these things are given to him by some ways or by some means by someone, right? But these things are eternally present with him in the Vaikuntha, right? But here, because he comes as an ordinary person, some way there has to be a mean for these things to acquire. Those are all part of the Leela. But there are, it's called paraphernalia, right? These all things, और जिसको हम कहते हैं कि बाकी चीजें, मतलब कृष्णा and his surrounding things, his related items. You can, in simple word, you can say paraphernalia means related items, right? Huh?
Accessories to Krishna.
Accessories, exactly. These things are eternally present with Krishna and Vaikuntha. But when he comes here, by some way, by some story, he acquires all those things. Right. So there's a one story of Panchajanya also related to that. So what happens here is like when Krishna and Balram they left Vrindavan, they were 10 years old around, right? And they were moving to Mathura. They were 10 years old, and because it's a ritual, it's our parampara that one after like passing the childhood, they should go for the in the saran of Guru, surrender to Guru to understand or to learn things. So they also went to a Guru, Sandipani Muni. And he was very highly knowledgeable person, one of the most knowledgeable person at that time in the whole thoughts. Right. So they went to Sandipani Muni for learning the Vidya. They are God, right? Balram is also avatar of Krishna, right? They don't need to know anything. Then why did they go for a guru? You can tell me, that's okay. Anything, whatever comes to your mind.
Who can show the way?
Hmm. That's why, exactly, to set the example. You want to learn something, you want to know the transcendental knowledge, spirituality, it cannot be done alone. Right? It has to be done in parampara. When we surrender to Guru, Padipratena Padiprasthena Sevya. We remember that, right? We discussed that. It has to be done under guidance of a Guru who is coming from a parampara. To set us that example, they went to a Guru. Right? So, being the God, right, coming back to the story, being the God, they were like, when we learn a small thing, let's say, even someone teacher like how to do the dand also, it will take years for us to master that. But being the God, all those arts, all those skills they were mastering in one day itself. Right? Whatever they learned all those weapons, they learned all those arts, 64 types of art, including dancing, right, nritya and all those kind of arts they learned, right? And it took them one day only. So only 2 3 months, whatever was there for Sandipani Muni to teach them, they all learned. And he was like, कि, क्या बचा है सिखाने के लिए? Everything is already done, right? So after learning everything, they asked like, okay, like it is time for us to leave. Like we want to give you Guru Dachina. What do you want? So Sandipani Muni says that he understood that they are very great personalities. They can do a lot of things. It says that he asked that I had a kid, I had a child, right, and he was drowned. He was taken away from me, right. So if you can give me back my child. So they said, okay, Guru ka Adesh hai, we'll do that. So they go to um, Varun Dev, god of sea. Because he was drowned, he is the god of seas, god of water. So they go to Varun Dev. Varun Dev comes a lot of time, right? So they go to Varun Dev and then they ask like, ki, this the boy was there who was the child of our Muni, our Guru, and he was drowned. So you return him back. So Varun Dev said, I don't have him, but there is a demon whose name is Panchajan, not Panchajani, Panchajan. ठीक है, Panchajan or Panchajan. He lives at the bottom of the ocean, and he took them. He took the boy, right? So they were like, okay, let's get it from him. So they go inside the sea, right? And they had a fight with Panchajan. They killed the Panchajan. So Panchajan, the specialty of Panchajan, he used to live in a big conch shell, right? He used to live inside, right? They killed him, and then they got this conch shell like that. That is the way they acquired that conch shell, right? That's why it is transcendental. So Panchajan was also an eternal associate of Krishna in the Vaikuntha, right? So what happens? Like why these people come to earth? Because God also wants to experience all those rasa. We always don't want to have a monotonous life, right? एक ही तरीके से जिंदगी चल रही है. Even in a company, if that happens, we are like, अरे क्या boring company है. This is so boring. Why are we doing this? So we want something which is like different than our monotonous life. So when God wants to experience the Veer Ras, right? Veer Ras we know, right? The fighting spirit, right? When God wants to fight and like to experience the Kshatri Dharma. Kshatri, it is not applicable for God, but yeah, just to fight and enjoy. So who can fight God? Except his associate, no one can match him or no one can give him that kind of feeling. So That's when the gods associate also come to earth and they will take a form of demon. It's all a leela of God, right? So we know about Hiranyakashipu. Anyone knows about Hiranyaksh? Who was Hiranyaksh?
Prahlad.
No, 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 not Prahlad.
Father.
Prahlad father was Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyaksh. So we'll tell you a story. Another story. A story under the story. Under the story. It's the third story. So it looks like we are having Inception. नहीं क्या बोल कौन सी मूवी थी? Inception. Inception it.
Inception only, dream.
Inception only dream under dream under dream. हाँ. Nolan's movie. Okay. So four Kumaras we know, right? ब्रह्मा के चार बेटे. Four Kumaras. सनक, सनातन, सनक, सनातन, सनादि और सनातनी. Right? The four Kumaras. So they were those four Kumaras were like they were so enlightened that they controlled their whole aging process. So they, even though they were great rishi, one of the greatest rishis, but they controlled their aging process. They looked like boy. That's why they're called Kumaras, right? So the four Kumaras, once like finding out the real knowledge, they reached Vaikuntha in front of the Vaikuntha, hmm? And when they reached there, Jay and Vijay, we know Jay and Vijay, right? Huh? Who are the guards of Vaikuntha. Right. So that's why when you go to every temple, there's always two people guarding. अंदर जाने से पहले we should actually pay obeisance to Jain Vijay also. अंदर जाने दीजिए. Because every temple is a abode of God. Right. हम करते नहीं हैं, हमें याद भी नहीं रहता है, हम निकल जाते हैं thinking this is just a showpiece. But that's what we should do. We should pay obeisance and take their permission to enter. Right. So Jai Vijay were there, and they think you like when they asked to enter, they said you guys are like kids. Why you want to enter there? You are not allowed to enter here. And they got angry, right? And then they said that you have disrespected me. So what will happen? You will fall down to Mrityulok or Bhulok. It's also called Mrityulok, right? You'll fall down to Mrityulok, and then some drama ensued, and then Lord himself comes. So he tells like that is the reason some negotiation. Matlab, he calmed down those Kumara, and then they said okay. So I give you two choice. Either you'll fall down to Mrityuluka as a devotee of Lord, but then you'll have to take 7 lives. 7 times you'll have to take birth again, right? Or there is another way. You take birth as a demon, right? And 3 times you have to take birth, and then God Himself will come and kill you, and you'll go back. After 3 times, you'll go back to Godhead, right? So why to take 7 times? They said it's okay. We'll also give them experience. So this is all God's leela. He put that thought in the Kumara's mind. All four Kumaras, they will go there. He put that thought in Jay and Vijay. They will stop him, and this all thing will happen because he wanted to experience the Veer Ras. He wanted to experience the strength and like the fighting spirit of him, right? So he put the thought in their mind, and then that ensued. So first birth they took as Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyaksh was brother of Hiranyakashipu, right? And before like Narsimha Dev took like avatar, before Hiranyakashipu took avatar, Hiranyaksh was there. So he had fight with Varaha, right? And very strong fighter. When God came to earth as Varaha Dev, there were thousands of years that fight ensued. Thousands of years in front of God, right? He even like he was so tired that uh, he had to go. He had to go take rest in the cave also. Like God Himself becomes so tired. That kind of strength His associate have to give him that feeling of the weirdness, right? So first life they took birth as a Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. We all know Hiranyakashipu, right? Second life they were born as anyone knows? क्या?
Ravana
Ravan and
or Kumbhakarna.
Kumbhakarna. Very good. Nice. So second time they were born as Ravan and Kumbhakarna. Again, they were killed on by the hand of God only. And third time they were born as in Dwapar Yuga. So each Yuga. Satyug, Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. Treta Yuga, Ravan and Kumbhakarna. And then Dwapar Yuga. They were born as?
Kamsa.
No. Comes Nathan.
Comes a brother.
नहीं comes Nathan. We think Comes was the biggest demon that time, but it was not Comes. It was a lesser demon, right? They were born as Shishupal and uh, क्या नाम है उसका? Dantavakra, right? There was a demon. Hardly we hear his name, right? That's why I said lesser demon, not like Kans. Kans was a bigger demon, right? So they were born as Shishupal and Dantavakra. So that's how like this. So same way, this Panchajan was also Lord's associate in Eternal, but to give him some virus, he was born as a demon, and that's how he got the conscience. Now after that, what happened? Like after defeating him, getting the council, they found out Krishna and Balram that this child is not there. Right? Then they like okay, now what to do? Then they reached the Yam Lok, where Yamraj was there, and they ask like they tell the story like this all happened. So do you have the we want the child back? So Yamraj said, so be it. They had to go to Yamraj. And so yeah, they blew. They got the concept. So Krishna blew on reaching the gates of Yamlok. He blew the Panchajan concept, and Yamraj came to know God has arrived. Right. He came there running and he paid his obeisances and he's like, it is our good fortune that you are here. So you tell me what do you want. So they tell like we want this kid back. So it tells so be it. And that kid came back to him. Seeing that, Sandipani Muni was he was very happy. And then the Krishna Balram asked, is there anything else we can do it for you? Because no, if someone, he tells that those words, like, if someone has a disciple like you and Balram, right, what more any guru can want? There's nothing I can want anymore, right? And then he gives him both that anything which you have ever learned, he did not know their God, right? He is the supreme personality of Godhead. But he tells that anything which I have ever taught you, you will never ever forget. So that is one of the boon he gave them. So that's the story of the Panchajan. Right? That's how they got the Panchajan. Now, so third one, Devdattam. The consul of Arjuna is called Devdatt. Right? We'll finish in another 20 minutes. So that's called Devdattam. How it's called Dev? Devdatta means given by God. Dev. Not God, Dev. Right? Given by Dev. So there is also one story behind that. How he got his concept. A lot of stories you can see here. So what happens here is before we go into Devdattam, Dhananjay is Arjun's name. Why it called Dhananjay? Dhananjay.
The, the one who carries or wears his bow.
Bo Dhan means not bow. Anjay means to collect. Dhan means wealth. That's why it's called Dhananjay. Arjun's bow was Gandhi. Right. Who collects the wealth? Right.
No,
The
she's
wealth
saying
collector.
the one who has gained or attained more than who won across.
So, ठीक है मतलब बात is more. I forgot. Okay. All right. So, our Venkatesh Prabhu, he, like his wife, they are attending from home, so I did not share that. All right. So Dhananjay, Dhananjay, right? Someone who collect wealth. So before Mahabharat battle actually happened. So there is one story why he's called Dhananjay. So before Mahabharat, actually the battle happened. There was a yajna which was performed by Yudhishthira, yeah, Rajsu yajna. In that yajna, what happened in any yajna, the people go, the associates or the Raja and their associate, they go and collect all the wealth, and also like they tell they collect wealth and also they tell that you accept me as a king. That's how actually they had the bigger army, the biggest army, because they expedite here and there, and they find out associates and collect the wealth. So all the brothers they went to all four directions except Yudhishthir. He was like, so to put Yudhishthir as the king, they all went into different direction. So Arjun went towards the north, and when he was going in the north, when he was going in the north, so he reached. He was going there, defeating all the tribes, right, collecting the wealth, and also asking them to accept Yudhishthir as their king, gaining the army. Right, he was going there. Then he reached Himalaya, and above, he was like, even after crossing Himalaya, the celestial planets start, heavenly planets also. Right, there are a lot of places on Earth also where all material senses cannot perceive it, but it's there. So he reached at those places which are called heavenly planets. Right, he reached at that places where those things start. So Kinnara, Gandharva, like Kimpurus, a lot of these heavenly celestial creatures live there, who are also a form of, like, they are better form of human. They have a bigger life, they have more sense of enjoyment and all those things. We discussed that, like this in Mrityulu, above that there are planets. Right. So he reached one of those planets, heavenly planet, where the Kim Purus used to live. So he reached there and then he asked for the he goes there and he asks for the wealth from them. So in one of the planet, in one of the, like, he defeated Kinnar, he defeated Gandharva also. In one of the planet when he reached that, I think Gandharv planet only when he reached that, and then he was trying to enter. He said like he was not allowed. They were big, able, strong guard, huge size, and they said, "Oh, son of Kunti, even though you are very strong, you are the very pious person, and not anyone can reach there, right? Only pious people can actually reach there, right? Someone, when I say pious, right? When I say pious means we discussed about the four regulative principles, right? Anyone remembers four regulative principles? Yeah, then? So no meat eating, no intoxication, yeah, then? No gambling, no illicit sex. So someone who has never performed any of these um, bad activities in their life, they are the pious person who can actually reach there, but still they cannot enter. Right. So they said like you are a very pious person, you are very strong, that's why you are able to reach here, but still you will be not allowed to enter because with the human body you cannot enter, first of all. Right. And second thing, even if you somehow enter it, with this human senses or with this material senses, you will not be able to see anything. So this is the law of nature. Respect that, and just go along. So Arjuna said, yes, I will respect that, and no problem with that. What I want, like, you should accept Yudhishthira as king. They said, yes, there is no problem. We'll accept it. So while giving him like vidai or a parting from him, they gave him so much wealth. Right. So he was collecting wealth from all over the places. Then he went even far. Then he went even far, and there he got wealth which are thrown away wealth. A lot of gold and wealth which are thrown away on the across the Himalayas. Right. Now who threw that wealth? Anyone knows? You can think. No, obviously. That's okay. Right. So this wealth were thrown away by the Brahmanas. So that Brahmanas, right. So that time it was a duty of Kshatriya or a king to give wealth to Brahmanas. Right. So anything happens, they will give a lot of wealth to them. But Brahman by nature or uh, by their way of living, they have to live a very simple life. Right. So whatever wealth they have to get, they will take only whatever is required to sustain their life. They will not collect anything. So what happened? The king said, keep on giving the wealth. Charger. So kings were giving the wealth and Brahmana were collecting, but whom to give? All the Brahmana are getting so much wealth, there was no one to give that wealth to. Right. So what they decided, will give it to each other, but even each other was saturated. So they collected all the wealth, they threw away in the above the Himalaya. Right. So when Arjuna went there, he got all those thrown away wealth and he got. And that's why he got that name Dhananjay. Because he collected the wealth from all across the world, especially from the north side, right? And he got that particular name, Dhananjay, Dhananjay. So, okay. So coming back to Devdatta. So Devdatta given by God. So after Rajsuyag, when Mahabharat was like, it is inevitable, it will be established. So at the same time, when he was collecting the army, he was going ahead and then he was collecting weapons. Arjun, again, he was collecting weapons. So he defeated a lot of people. He was collecting weapons. So he wanted to collect the celestial weapons, which can be used to defeat Kauravas. Not the ordinary weapons and all those things that can be made, but celestial weapons which have lot of power, right? Lot of potency in that. That's what he wants to collect. So he was going up in north, and okay, before that, what happened? Let me tell you. So Vyasdev came before Mahabharat. Vyasdev came, and Vyasdev met Yudhishthir, and he told that I can tell you one because you people were this unjustly discriminated and not given the rightful share of your what you deserve. So I'll give you. I want to help you. I want to support you. I'll give you a mantra, and whoever knows this mantra, they can travel with the speed of mind, not just wind, the speed of mind. Hmm. And you tell this mantra to Arjun so that he can collect all the celestial weapon. So Yudhishthir had a big ceremony, a proper ceremony, where he tells that mantra to Arjun, right? So that he can use to collect all those celestial weapons. And to collect those celestial weapons, now Arjun goes again in the north and celestial, because in north only you will get that. So he was going up in north, and it took 1 day for him to reach Mandhar mountain. 1 day. He was traveling with the speed of mind. Still, it took him 1 day to reach that Mandhar mountain, that high above it is. Right, so he reached the Mandhar mountain, and on the Mandhar mountain, like when he was there, he saw it's very difficult to reach, but it's impossible for like ordinary being to impossible. Right, there also, like I told, like going above to heavenly planet, you need to be very pious person who have not done any sin in their life. Right, so he reached there. So there was one sadhu who was doing one puja, and he asked like he when he sees a human reaching there, he said that to a kshatriya, he said that how you are like, oh matlab, who are you, how did you reach here, like this place is only belongs to someone who is very pious, mainly brahmanas, right, or the higher beings. Being a human, how did you reach there? And because you reach there, I can understand that you are a very pious person, otherwise you cannot reach there. But then what is your purpose of coming here? So he tells them, he tells that sadhu that I want to meet Indra. Hmm. I want to meet Indra and to get the celestial weapon from him. So he says that no, you cannot meet Indra directly. You cannot meet Indra. Like how can you meet Indra just like that? So to enter this particular position, right, you have to take permission from Lord Shiva. He tells that. So he said, okay, I will take. He reveals himself that sadhu that I'm Indra himself. Like after asking, he tells like why you want to read. There was some conversation happened. Then he reveals I'm Indra himself. But he said I cannot give the celestial weapon just like that. You have to take permission from Lord Shiva. And after that, he goes away. So Arjuna was walking towards again up north to road towards Lord Shiva, and he was walking towards Lord Shiva's abode, and he saw there was one boar. Wild boar means wild. जिसको सुअर बोलते हैं wild pig, right, strong, right, very strong pig, like so he was saying that, and one boar was attacking him, he's going to attack him. So what he did, he took out his bow and arrow, and he just released the arrow. At the same time there was another hunter. At exact same place, same time, there was a hunter. He also released the arrow at exactly same time. He also saw that boar, and that boar was kind of demon, right? Very big. He was a kind of demon only, right? So that he would not attack to Arjuna, Arjuna released, and hunter was hunting the boar, so he released at the same time. The arrow struck the boar at the same time. He was killed. But then Arjuna came to, and then they both reached to claim that this boar is mine. So Arjuna said that this boar was attacking me, so by dharma, right, this is mine, and because you interfered in my affair, I should kill you. And this hunter said, no, I saw the boar first, I released the boar first, and you interfered in my dharma. I am a hunter. You interfered in my dharma. So I should actually kill you, and this boar belongs to me. So they started fighting on that boar, matlab, to claim the boar. And you remember that, okay, in the backstory, when he got the chariot, so Agni Dev gave him one quiver of, along with the chariot, he gave him a lot of weapon. He gave him the quiver of arrow also, which will be inexhaustible. However, arrow Arjuna takes out from that quiver, it will never be finished. Right. So that quiver and bow, everything was with him. So that was the previously happened. So he was using that, and then fight happened between that hunter and Arjun. And there was a fierce fight happening there. Arjuna was like releasing thousands of arrows at the same time. And that arrow, when it touches the body of hunter, it just fell down. Nothing happened. Not even a drop of blood coming from that hunter. He was very surprised. What is happening? Then at one point of time, arrow was exhausted. He was like, "This is inexhaustible. What happened?" It's like Agni Dev told me that it cannot be exhausted, and this happened. But then, being Kshatriya, he has to fight. So he took out his bow, and with bow he started like beating or striking that hunter. That bow is also like broken into multiple pieces. The next weapon, sword, he took out, and then he hit he hit that hunter with the sword. The sword also broken down. Everything was finished. Then he started Mallayuddha. Chalo, one to one, man to man combat. Take WWE, not really WWE. That is fixed. This was not fixed, right? So he started doing this one-on-one combat with him, and that fight happened from long time. But Hunter was very strong, and that like one time he just struck that Arjuna, and Arjuna became unconscious, and he fell down. When he became unconscious in dream or at the time, like he saw that he's praying to Lord Shiva, that on his he's praying to Lord Shiva by offering flowers and some flowers and leaves, and that flower when he is dropping, it is getting dropped on that hunter. He saw that in the dream. Then he woke up, and then he realized that this hunter is nothing but Lord Shiva himself. Right. And that's when he came to know. And Lord Shiva was very happy. He said that you are a match for me. Right. I have had so many fights, but you are a match for me. So ask me anything you want. So he tells, I want your weapon. So Lord Shiva gives him Pasupati Astra, which we call, right, Pasupati Astra, and he tells them, you should never use it on any human. This should only and only be used on a higher, uh, those heavenly planet residing people, and not even people like Devatas only, like Indra and all, Varun Deva, and only. It can, like a Dharva, Kinnara, only on that you can use it. If you use it on any human, it will be end of the world. Right. So you should never use it. So that's how he got Pasupati Astra. And Lord Shiva, he revealed his fault to him, and like he paid him whatever he had, like he paid his obeisance and flowers and some leaves and all. Right. So when he was giving him weapon, all the Devata they arrived, and they were like showering flowers on Arjuna. Now Arjuna has taken permission from Lord Shiva, and he is like he has fought a battle with Lord Shiva and not won. No, he did not win, but he gave him a good fight. So they were, and so everyone was giving him like Yavraj. He gave him mace. You have this particular gada mace, right? You have this mace. Varun Dev, he gave him Antardhyan Astra, that it can hypnotize any kind of demon. However strong the demon is, it can hypnotize them, right? So a lot of people gave him a lot of weapons. Then at the end, he asked the celestial weapon from Indra. Indra said, "You come with me. I'll give you to the heavenly. I'll, we'll go to my planet. I'll give you to the weapon there." He takes him now because it is with Indra's permission. He can actually enter his lok. And just to note that, just to know, Indralok is not the highest lok. When Arjuna enters there in the lok, the so great opulences, all the celestial beauty, it was all the greatest thing. He never saw anything like that on earth. Right? So much wealth, so much opulence, so much jewels, and strong people, such a beautiful Apsara and all. He was like surprised to see that kind of thing also can exist. Right? And that is not the highest planet. Think of that. Think Vaikuntha, how much opulence that will be having. Where we should actually goal, where our goal should be to go to Vaikuntha. How much opulence, how much enjoyment should be there. When and these loks, in the lok, even above in the lok, there are many loks. Satlok, Japlok, Taplok, right? There are a lot of loka, Brahmalok, right? These all are in the material world, by the way. Not even in the spiritual world. These all are part of the material world. And that kind of opulences are available in the material world itself. So when we discuss about the karma point, the pious people, they can become devata, right? They can enjoy all those heavenly planets, they can enjoy the long life, all kind of opulence and enjoyment. But once their credit is exhausted, they have to take birth again. The only place from when any Jew will not come back is Vaikuntha, when he goes to spiritual world. Apart from that, any place he will go स्वर्गलोक. हम कहते हैं स्वर्ग सिधार गए, स्वर्गलोक गए. स्वर्गलोक के बाद भी यहाँ आना है, right? तो स्वर्ग जाना is not really an achievement. Achievement हम कह सकते हैं कि they did all the good things, that's where they went स्वर्गलोक. But again, they are not out of this cycle of life and death. They will again come back after exhausting all the credit. Like you have given a lottery, 1 crore you won, feeling happy? Right, 2 crore, let's say you won. After that 2 crore is over, you're back again to status quo, right? Zero. Right. So this is a lottery kind of thing. Someone did all the good deeds, they went into Swargalok, all the heavenly planets, they lived like a devata, they enjoyed and then come back again. So yeah, when he sees that opulences, he was like awestruck, like wow, that kind of huge opulences, these things are there. And he was there for 4 earthly years. It was a small time in heavenly planet, but it was like 4 earthly years. He stayed there, and at the end, he got the weapon from Indra, all the celestial weapon, and a lot of blessings also. And then he comes back to Earth. That's how he got this. So yeah, while he was giving, like at the time of departing, Indra also gave him this conch, right? Devadatta. And that's why it is transcendental conch, and it's called Devadatta, God given. Right? That's why that conch shell was named Devadatta. So all those stories. Um, 5 minutes more? ठीक है. I'll finish this verse. Then next is Pondram. Pondram के पीछे क्या story है? There must be some story. But let's just skip that. I also don't remember that story. So Pondram is the council of Bhim. Right? And being a Bhim council, huge in size. It cannot be small. But here Bhim is referred as Bhim Karma Vrikodara. Right? If you see the translation, the ferocious eater and performer of Herculean task. Performer of Herculean task, Bhim Karma. Right? The only things which can be performed by Bhim only. Right? Bhim Karma. Vrikodara. Vrikodara means the fire in the belly. He was ferocious eater. Right. So when Pandava were living in the forest, all the 13 years, whenever they used to get some bhiksha to get this for eating, it is divided among all the Pandavas. So first thing, like 50% was kept for Bhima, and then in next 50%, all the 4 Pandava, Mata Kunti and Draupadi will have. Right. That much was the appetite of Bhima. And that also he was never satisfied. So one time when he was satisfied, there was one story comes. During time of their vanvas, they were living incognito, right? So they reached in Virat. You remember Virat, right? Who was the king of Matsya, right? So they not Virat Kohli, right? So they reached the Virat's kingdom and they were living incognito there. So when reaching, so they took form of Brahmana, and they reached to one Brahmana house and they were living in a village and they were living there. That village was like, it was terrorized by a demon called Bakasur. So Bakasur was like indiscriminately used to eat people there. जो मिल जाए उसको खा लेता था. ठीक. He was like a huge and very strong demon who used to eat whoever he gets. चाहे आदमी हो, whether it's a human or it's an animal, all the food, he used to eat everything. So he used to indiscriminately eat people of the village. Then the village people they uh, went to Bakasura and they said they struck a negotiation with him. There was a treaty between them. Every week we'll send you a cart full of food, right? And you eat that. He said, no, I want human flesh also, right? That's the tastiest flesh, and I want that. Then okay, from the family, one family will send you that, and one person from one family will go with the cart, and you can eat it. But you don't touch anyone else, right? You leave all of that alone. So when Pandavas reached there, they were living in that. Brahmana's home. So that day, one day, like Brahmana and their wife, they were so much they were crying so much, like they were weeping and sound, and they were crying furiously. But they were crying, like very sad. So Mata Kunti reached and she asked like, what happened? So they told like, you don't know what today's our turn. So she, so she said, what turn for what? So they told ki, you don't know this, like you don't know about Bakasura and all. So they tell her the story. So he tells, okay, you don't worry, you do. So wife was saying, ki, I will go. The husband was saying, Brahmana was saying, I will go. Okay, you take care of child or children, right? Everyone was like, I will go, I will go. But Kunti, when she said like, you don't worry, you both stay here, you all stay here. Bhim will go and he will take care. He said, Nari, you are my guest. How can we can allow you, Brahmana, to go? This is we'll have so much sin if we allow this thing to happen. She said, you don't worry him. He has done such kind of task. He is expert in doing all those kind of things. He will kill them. So somehow she convinced him. And when Bhim heard that he will have to go with the cart full of food, he was very happy. Yes, this is my time. Now is the time that I will go with the cart and I will eat. So he took the cart and in front of the cave of the Bakasur, he started eating. Now is the time. He did not call Bakasur, he started eating. Now Bakasur is waiting. Where is my food? It's evening. The food is not arrived. Right. He said, let me go and check out. So he goes out and see there's one guy, a big guy, he's eating my all food. He got very ferocious. And he's like, I will attack. Take, I will attack this person. So Bhima was eating with his right hand. When he attacked with his hand, he just pushed him. And this guy was like 4 5 rows and he was like fell down. He got more angry. How can he can push me and I fell down? So 3 4 times this happened. He was keep on eating. Bhima was eating and just pushing him. Every time he comes, he just push him and he goes back and fell down. So when I told this story, the like he was like, stop. He's eating and he's like, stop. And I was so happy, stop. Right. So yes, like that he was doing. With one hand he was eating and another hand he was just stopping. And the Bakasura. After eating everything, he had a big burp. I was satisfied. Yes, today is the day. I am satisfied. And then he had one on one with the Bakasur, and after 2 3 or few shots itself, Bakasur was like, done. Like, he died. And Bhima came home very happy. He informed, I had good food and I killed the demon. Now like all the villagers were very happy. This is the end of that demon. So Bhim Karm, that is a Bhim Karm, right? Only those kind of activity with Bhim can do. Vrikodara, so ferocious eater. That's why it's turned as Bhim Karm Vrikodara, right? So with that, we'll finish. Any questions? Anything which you could not understand the stories. So these stories are why the stories, why telling about the people and all. We discussed last time. Any reason? Why do we need to know about these people, these terms? Why not directly go to Bhagavad Gita? बताओ ये क्या आप story सुना रहे हो? Directly Bhagavad Gita में philosophy बताओ. That's why we came here. Anyone thinks? हाँ आप सोच रहे हो. तो बताइए क्या reason है? Why am I telling the story? Okay, if you don't know then what? You will not know Panchajan how it came. Like I'm not telling you how powder came. I also don't know. Right. how does it matter? That's not philosophy. If you know about Pondra, if you know about Devadatta, yeah, or you don't know, how does it matter? That's not going to progress in your. That's not going to give you the philosophy or the knowledge, right? How Bhagavad Gita should be. So what could be the reason?
It's actually like every word or every name is having its own significance. And how Krishna had dealt in that particular situation, or like how that particular Arjun. Now, for example, if you explain more about Bhima, right? So it gives like Bhima's characteristics. It's not only like giving about like Bhima and his Pondra shell, but also like taking us to the. It's all about. It's not itihas. It's history, right? So it's actually.
It is.
I mean, it's not a myth.
It's not
It's
a
a
myth. Huh?
myth.
It's not a myth. It is. It is.
Yeah. Like that. Now we are going to come more. So that like we can also now remember those verses. I mean, once we remember those stories and everything. Okay, now if some.
Now next time when you read this verses, you remember all those stories. It will come to mind. This
Now
thing.
I like Panchajanya, okay. Or like Devadatta in some cases. But Pondra, we have maybe never. I never heard about that. But now it is yeah.
So, what our acharyas also say that anything which is related to Krishna that is transcendental. So when we say Harinam, this Dharma Yuga, you remember Dharma Yuga, right? Yug Dharma, like Treta Yuga it was Tap, right? Satyug it was Tap, Treta Yuga it was Yajna, right? Then Dwapar Yuga it was deity worship. The Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga is Harinam, right? So Harinam does not only mean that taking God's name. It also means when we read about God, when we hear about God, all those things are also transcendental things. When we recite the verses, this all comes under this Harinam, right? So these things are transcendental. When we actually hear those stories, when we actually recite those verses, when we take the Harinam, this progresses in our spirituality. This gives us the bhakti. So that is also a way to go into bhakti. And we hear about it, it becomes interesting also. And also, we are doing, rather than watching some Amazon TV series, at least we are doing hearing about God and there is this story. Right? You can tell that story to children also, propagating God's glory. So those all things are transcendental, it's not material. Right? That's how we should understand it. Yeah, that's all.
Can we go back to
13. So,
so here we have discussed about like the concepts, all those things, right? So, uh, so is it like only from these have been described only from Krishna side or either side?
all side. I mean, for now, when Bhishma did that, the Kaurav army did. Now, when they are being blown from Pandava side, then their army will also start. Right. Next, we'll see. Right now, the first time it is general who blows the conch, like Bhishma Dev did, and then the other generals and the whole army started. And one army finishes, another army starts. Right. They are ready, now we are ready. So the generals like Krishna and the Arjuna are the main generals. They will start and then the other will start. So at 15, when you go to 16, 17, 18, those verses describe like now the same thing will happen from Pandava side also.
Uh, who told Gita? Krishna only, right?
Who told?
Bhagavad Gita. Krishna
Yes.
only, right? Told to Arjuna, right?
Correct.
Then he told how it have started or how it have ended. He's telling all these things because it is already done, right? The Arjuna don't know again why he is learning from the start how the
So Arjuna don't know. There are two views here, right?
yeah
Some of the people says that like some of the acharya how they describe this is
Actually, like he missed in the initial beginning, right?
yes.
Actually, Bhagavad Gita completely is not said by Krishna. Okay, some parts from the
No,
starting
but
verses
that,
are
yeah,
added
that is
later.
true. I think that he knows. But his question is, did Arjuna did not know about all those things? He is very knowledgeable person, right? So there are two views. One thing, you may have all the knowledge, you may have all the knowledge in the world, but then practicing is not. You know Krishna, you know that we have to put bhoga and then only we eat. Do you do it every day? Do you do it? Do you practice it every day? So knowing is not doing it. Right. That's just very simple example. I can know a lot of things, but when I don't practice it, it does not matter. मैं बहुत बड़ा ज्ञानी हूँ मैं there is someone who say like हिंदुओं को इकट्ठा होना चाहिए all Sanatanis should get together they all the whole day they do tweeting and they don't do anything but जब काम की बारी आती है they will just sleep so what's the use of having all the knowledge when you are not doing that's why Prabhupada always used the word devotional service he never used the word devotion we have discussed this many times devotion means you have devotion, you have the faith, you have the knowledge and all those things. But unless you do the service, unless you do the practical thing, it does not matter. You know the science, you know the gravity, you know all those laws, thermodynamics and this and that, right? If you'll not do an experiment, if you'll not make a machine out of it, then what's the use of knowing all those things? So that's why devotion alone will not help. It has to be devotional service, right? So Arjun knows that, right? But then implementing in the life or following exactly as it is, right? That's not. So one view says that Arjun knows everything. He knows a lot of things, not everything, but he knows a lot of things from Bhagavad Gita, like the about the soul and all those things. But when he saw his relatives, he again got disheartened. Like, how can I kill my relatives? To remove that kind of feeling from Arjuna's mind, Krishna told Bhagavad Gita. Before that, these are nothing but the background of it, whatever is happening, right? But the Bhagavad Gita, the actual, the 570, 564, 565 or 575 verses, which Krishna told, that is the real Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
Yeah, that is.
I thought
This is also Bhagavad Gita only. It's not like it's not Bhagavad Gita. But directly, if I'll start with telling you the sloka, you don't know the background, you don't know the context, you will not understand anything.
until fourth chapter, it is
Second chapter, here also it will start.
background.
It will start in the first chapter end and the second chapter itself. Right. Bhagavad Gita is the whole 700 verses.
Explaining to
Sanjay is not explaining, Sanjay is telling what is happening. Because Dhritarashtra asks, Kim Akurvat Sanjay? Kya ho raha hai? So he is just explaining. Then when Bhagwan explains, Bhagwan start explaining Bhagavad Gita, he will repeat all those things to Dhritarashtra. Right. That is, Bhagavad Gita is the whole 700 verses, but there is, in starting it's a background. Now that is one view. The second view is also there. A lot of Acharya says that ki Arjuna is a great Sakha. He is an eternal associate of Lord Krishna. Right. It's not like he only when he came to Mrityuloka, he took the incarnation, then only he became. He is eternal associate. But to give this knowledge to people like us, the human society, this is again recited. So you remember, like in one of the sessions we discussed, what Lord Krishna says that the first time I gave this knowledge to Surya, Vivaswan Suri. But Vivaswan Suri, his parampara came to Ikshvaku, Ramchandraji. But somewhere this ladder is broken. This disciplic succession is broken and the knowledge is lost. Where how the knowledge gets lost? One way like it is not passed on. Another way like when people start interpreting in their way, they start putting in their understanding. क्या कहते हैं उसको मतलब हाँ just putting in their own understanding and like in malicious ways or whatever with their own intention, right? So that way the knowledge get lost. So this one knowledge was lost. So he tells that in Bhagavad Gita. We'll see that later, right? That again I'm passing this knowledge to you, and again I'm establishing this disciplic succession. Right? So Ved Vyas when he wrote that disciplic succession, again it got established. So there are these two views. But yes, Arjuna knew a lot of things. Arjuna knew a lot of this knowledge. But for the betterment of mankind, for betterment of people like us, it is again told. So that a lot of Acharya says. Any other question? No? Okay, then we can listen up. Vanchakalpatarubhishta kripa sindhu bhaicha patita Vamani Vishnu 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 Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Gaur Prema